Good evening, my friends. I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself a simple question. How many hours did you spend today trying to make something happen? How much energy did you pour into forcing doors open, convincing people, pushing against resistance? And here is what I need you to understand tonight. Every ounce of that effort was wasted, not because you are incapable, not because you lack talent or vision or drive, but because you have been operating under a fundamental misunderstanding of how reality actually works. You see, most people believe that manifestation is about doing. They think that if they work harder, if they hustle more, if they grind themselves into exhaustion, eventually the universe will reward their effort. And so they chase, they strain, they exhaust themselves, and then they wonder why their desires seem to slip further away the harder they reach for them. Let me tell you something that will sound strange at first. The moment you stop chasing is the moment everything you want begins to move toward you. Not because the universe suddenly decides to be generous, but because chasing itself is the problem. Every time you chase, every time you reach, every time you try to make something happen, you are broadcasting a single message to your subconscious mind. I do not have it. I am separate from it. It is outside of me. And your subconscious, that faithful servant, takes that instruction and creates more of exactly that. More separation, more distance, more lack. I had a student once, a woman who came to me after 3 years of what she called manifesting. She had vision boards covering every wall of her apartment. She journaled every morning. She visualized every night. She affirmed until her voice went hoarse. And nothing changed. Not one single thing. When she sat across from me, she was desperate. She said, "I have done everything right. Why is nothing working?" And I asked her one question. When you visualize your desire, how does it feel in your body? She closed her eyes. She thought about it. And then she said, "It feels exciting. It feels like I am reaching for something beautiful that is just out of reach." There it was. The entire problem in one sentence. Reaching. Out of reach. I want you to comment below right now and tell me. Have you been chasing or have you been resting in the knowing? Just one word. Chasing or resting. Let me know where you are in this journey. And if this resonates with you, if you feel that shift beginning already, subscribe to this channel, because what I am about to share with you will change everything. Here is the principle that will transform your entire experience of manifestation. You do not manifest by wanting, you manifest by being, not by reaching for the state, by residing in it. And the difference between those two is the difference between years of frustration and instant results. Let me explain what most teachings get wrong. They tell you to feel the wish fulfilled. And that sounds right. It sounds like Neville. But then they tell you to work yourself up into excitement, to feel this rush of emotion, to get yourself into this heightened state of anticipation. And that is not the wish fulfilled. That is the wish anticipated. That is wanting, that is reaching. When something is truly yours, when something is already done, you do not feel excited about it. You feel natural about it. Think about the chair you are sitting in right now. Do you feel a rush of excitement that you have a chair? Do you walk around affirming, "I have a chair. I have a chair. Thank you, universe, for my chair"? No, because it is already yours. It is so completely yours that you do not even think about it. That is the feeling, that naturalness, that quiet, settled certainty. I see people trying to manifest a relationship, and they work themselves into this frenzy of emotion every time they visualize. Their heart races. They feel this intense longing, and they think that intensity means they are doing it right. But all that intensity is doing is affirming that they do not have it yet. Because if you already had the relationship, you would not be feeling longing. You would be feeling the calm, easy presence of someone you love. You would feel settled, natural, done. This is what Neville meant when he said to live in the end, not to visit the end in your imagination and then return to your current state, but to take up residence there, to move in, to stop commuting between lack and fulfillment and just stay in fulfillment. So, how do you do that? How do you stop the reaching, the chasing, the efforting that has become so automatic you do not even notice you are doing it? Here is the technique. And it is so simple that your mind will try to dismiss it. Do not let it. Tonight, before you sleep, you are going to do something different. You are not going to visualize. You are not going to affirm. You are not going to try to feel anything. Instead, you are going to make a single assumption. And the assumption is this: it already happened. Not it is happening. Not it will happen. It already happened. Past tense. Done. Finished. Maybe it happened yesterday. Maybe it happened last week. Maybe it happened 3 months ago. The exact timing does not matter. What matters is that in your awareness, it is no longer a future event. It is a past event that you are simply remembering. Let me give you an example. Let us say you want a specific sum of money, $10,000. Most people would visualize receiving the money. They would imagine the moment it arrives. They would feel the excitement of seeing it in their account. But all of that is future tense. All of that is reaching. Instead, tonight, you assume that the money already came. It arrived 2 weeks ago. You have already spent some of it. You have already adjusted to having it. And now, as you lie in bed, you are simply reflecting on how easy it was, how natural, how it showed up exactly when you needed it, just like you knew it would. Do you feel the difference? In the first version, you are trying to pull the future toward you. In the second version, you are resting in a past that already includes what you wanted. One is effort, the other is ease. And here is what happens when you do this. Your subconscious does not know the difference between a memory and a fantasy. It does not know the difference between something that happened and something you vividly imagine happened. All it knows is what you accept as true. And when you accept that it already happened, when you remember it as a past event, your subconscious says, "Oh, this is done. This is real. This is fact." And then it stops creating the lack. It stops broadcasting separation. And instead, it begins to arrange circumstances to reflect the reality you have claimed. But you have to stay there. You cannot do this once and then spend the next day worrying about when it is going to show up. Because the moment you start wondering when, you have stepped out of the state. You have gone back to wanting. You have returned to the future tense. Living in the end means you stop checking. You stop asking yourself if it is here yet. Because it is already here. It already happened. You are simply waiting for the three-dimensional world to catch up to the reality you have already claimed in consciousness. I had another student, a man who had been unemployed for 8 months. He had sent out hundreds of resumes. He had gone to dozens of interviews. Nothing. And he was exhausted, defeated. He came to me and said, "I do not understand. I have the skills. I have the experience. Why is no one hiring me?" And I told him the same thing I am telling you. Stop trying to get hired. Assume you already were. He looked at me like I had lost my mind. But he was desperate enough to try it. That night, he did not visualize a future interview. He did not imagine getting a call. Instead, he assumed that 3 weeks ago, he had been offered a position. He had already accepted it. He had already started. And now, lying in bed, he was simply reflecting on his first few weeks at the new job. How well he was fitting in. How much he enjoyed the work. How relieved he felt that the struggle was over. He stayed in that state every night, He went back to that same memory. The memory of having already been hired. The memory of the struggle already being behind him. He did not check his email obsessively. He did not refresh job boards. He just rested in the knowing that it was done. 11 days later, he got a call. A company he had interviewed with months earlier. A company that had rejected him. Called him back. They had an unexpected opening. They wanted him to start immediately. And the salary was higher than anything he had applied for. Did he make that happen? No. He let it happen. By getting out of the way, by stopping the chase, by residing in the state where it was already done. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds too passive. This sounds like I am supposed to just sit around and do nothing. And that is not what I am saying. You will still take action. But the action will be different. It will not be forced. It will not be frantic. It will flow naturally from the state you are in. When you are living in the end. When you are resting in the assumption that it already happened. You do not have to figure out what to do next. The right action becomes obvious. The right opportunity presents itself. The right person reaches out. Not because you chased them, but because you stopped chasing. And in that stillness, in that quiet certainty, everything aligns. This is what Neville called the Sabbath. The rest, not a day of the week. A state of consciousness. The state where you cease from your own works, where you stop trying to make it happen and simply accept that it is done. So here is your practice. For the next 7 days, you are going to live as though your desire already happened in the past, not in the future. In the past, every night before you sleep, you are going to revisit that memory, the memory of it being done. And every time you catch yourself worrying, every time you catch yourself wondering when or how, you are going to gently remind yourself, it already happened. This is done. I am simply remembering. On day 1, it will feel like a game, like you are pretending. That is fine. Keep going. On day 2, it will start to feel a little more real, a little more natural. By day 3, you will notice something shifting. You will feel lighter, less anxious. The obsessive checking, the constant monitoring, it will start to fade. By day 7, you will not be pretending anymore. You will be living from that state. And once you are living from that state, the three-dimensional world has no choice but to conform. This is not magic. This is law. Consciousness is the only reality. And whatever you accept in consciousness must harden into fact. Not because you deserve it, not because you earned it, but because that is how creation works. You are not trying to convince the universe to give you something. You are impressing your subconscious with a fact. And your subconscious, that faithful servant, externalizes whatever you impress upon it. So stop reaching, stop chasing, stop trying to make it happen. Assume it already did. Rest in that assumption. Dwell there, live there, and watch how effortlessly the world rearranges itself to match the reality you have claimed. You were never meant to struggle. You were never meant to chase. You were meant to assume and rest. Assume the wish fulfilled as a past event, and rest in the certainty that what is done in consciousness must appear in form. That is the law. That has always been the law, and now you know it. Walk out of here tonight knowing that your desire is not coming. It already came. You already have it. You are simply waiting for your eyes to see what your consciousness already knows. Until we meet again, assume your victory. It is already done. The lessons here are simple but profound. First, chasing affirms lack. The moment you stop reaching and start resting, everything shifts. Second, the wish fulfilled is not excitement. It is naturalness. It is the calm certainty of something already owned. Third, Live in the past tense. Assume it already happened. Memory is more powerful than fantasy because your subconscious accepts it as fact. Fourth, you do not need to know how. You only need to know that it is done. And finally, the Sabbath is not a day. It is a state. The state of resting from your own efforts and trusting that consciousness creates reality. This is how you manifest. Not by doing more, but by being more, by being the one who already has it, by living from the end instead of toward it. Try it for 7 days. See what happens when you stop chasing and start resting. The results will speak for themselves.